Hi, so in this week's episode, I would like to talk about resentment. And you probably hear that a lot of people say resentment is like taking poison and waiting the other person to die. And I know it sounds like a cliche, or you heard it so many times, but it is really true, because you effectively giving control to other person over over your head, over your minds, over your emotions, and the other person may not even know this. Because there are so many reasons for we feel resentful towards someone. And don't forget that resentment is a complex feeling. It's not something what is not just I now feel resentful. It's resentment is basically build up anger and upsets for a long period of time. So it doesn't come straight away. It's you being upset or angry at someone for a really long time, and it doesn't need to be years, it can be months or weeks, and you start building up the resentment towards that person. So it's really complex. Don't forget about it. It's not just like that and it comes and you feel resentful. There are so many reasons we feel that way towards other people. It could be in a family, like old arguments with your parents or with your siblings. In relationships, there are so many reasons we can be resentful. Even with your partner, it could be argument you had ages ago. It could be about that you don't feel fully supported by your partner in terms of your business or your career, or even your hobby, your diet, your lifestyle, whatever it is. And you are not supported by your partner, and you don't get any kind of the feeling that he's with or she is with you on that one. Then you can start feeling resentful. It can be after cheating. Even though you give your partner a second chance, there can be still some things and triggers that you didn't fully forgive him or her, or didn't fully move on, or there's still something, and the anger and upset can turn into the resentment later on. Me as a stepmom and second wife, oh dear, there was so many reasons I felt resentful towards my partner and his ex-wife. Especially towards his ex-wife, I hated the fact that I will be the second wife one day. So I really, was feeling really resentful towards her. And again, it was my own insecurities, my own issues. She had nothing to do with that. Towards my partner at the beginning, like now husband, I felt resentful for stuff that, for example, he was at the beginning Disneyland dad, and he felt a lot of single dad guilt, which is okay, but at the same time, it can turn into the anger or upset. It can be, if you stepmom, it can be because your partner doesn't step up properly in his role as a co-parent, or you think that he lets his ex treating him very poorly, so you feel resentful towards him as well over the time. It could be towards the ex because double standards. It could be because you don't agree with the parenting style of her and or your partner. If you're parents, you may feel resentful because of the parenting differences you have. So there's a lot of issues, a lot of reasons we can feel resentful at some point. But don't forget, it's a complex. It doesn't come like that. It really is because you feel angry or upset at the person for a really long time. Another reason or another trigger could be because you feel this is not fair. Whatever is happening, it's not fair. That's another really big trigger for resentment. So what to do now? Because I had it in the past, and now I don't feel resentful towards anyone, but there are still triggers, and I still go to the point when I'm getting angry or upset at someone, of course, but I don't go to the level of resentment anymore. And or if I go, I find out really quickly, kind of like at the beginning, so I'm able to step back and just deal with it effectively. So what I put together, because there are a lot of things and a lot of tips out there, like how to deal with the resentment. This is what helped me. This is what is helping my clients as well. You need to take a few steps, and I will share 5 steps with you what to do. So recognizing, the first step is recognizing what are your real triggers and what is actually the underlying emotions, So how I said before, resentment is complex. It's not just like one thing or no one upset. It's build up. So you may need some help with that because there are a lot of things we know about ourselves. Like we know that. Other point is that we know we don't know about it, or we don't know. And there's another one which is like, really, we just don't know what we don't know. So just be careful, because sometimes you feel really angry at someone and you don't even know why, or you don't really know what is the real reason. For me, example, there was the second wife thing. Again, like I knew that it was there a little bit, and I knew that was the problem, the second wife, but I didn't really know why it is such a big deal for me. And I had to dig it with the help of my coach as well. So yeah, the coaches needs the coaches as well, or shrinks needs his shrink as well. So you may need the help with that, because it's like a peeling an onion, because again, resentment is a complex feeling. It's a build up. So you will have to take it apart bit by bit, and you will probably discover a lot about yourself. So it is something that probably you are feeling scared or ashamed to say it out loud as well. I was doing one video on Instagram as a guest, and it was about things what I felt towards my husband's ex-wife. And because I shared it really openly, I had a stepmoms coming to me on like private messages, and they were saying, I would never say that. I would never be able to say things like that to my partner, because it's something I'm ashamed of. It's something that, I would never dare and say that, because they would think I'm crazy, or they would think I am a horrible person, or it is something that I'm really, really ashamed of. And that's the thing about resentment, because at some point we feel maybe stupid about it, or silly, or just things that nobody understands us. So the underlying issues or underlying emotions are really important to find out. The real triggers, what is really there for you when you start getting angry at your partner about not supporting you with your business, for example. So what is really there for you? It's not just that he doesn't support you. It may be something that you feel that he thinks that you're not good enough, or you can't make it, or it's something underneath you are really scared to discover or to be honest about it. And yeah, that's quite hard work to do sometimes if you don't have any previous coaching experience or therapy, or is something that is so strong that the resentment just took the control over you and you don't know how to get out of it. So don't be scared to ask for help, and just get that onion start peeling, because that's something you need to do. Otherwise you will never be able to get the resentment sorted and really figure it out. What are the real issues and the triggers you have? The second step I did was I started paying attention to my internal voices. And these internal voices we all have. We have at least few, and the thing is, they can be really empowering, really helpful, really, great for us, but they can be our worst enemies as well. And this is what, every time they show up, we have them all the time in our head. When we talk to someone, when we listen to someone, especially when we listen to someone, we are not able, not many people are actually able to fully listen all the time, because we always have the internal voices on, and they are always talking to us and already making reactions and opinions or arguments inside our head. And that's when they are. But you need to start paying attention when you start feeling angry, or when you feel really upset at that person you feel resentful towards. You need to start paying attention what the voice is telling you. How nasty the voice is. How much hate do you have in your head at that point? What is actually, how does it sound? What does it say? How does it trigger you? What is happening with your body? Are you getting really chills? Are you getting that, your stomach is turning around? Is your heart just racing out of sudden? What it is that voice is telling you and doing with you. Because that's when you start noticing, like, oh my God, that voice is so nasty, or is so strong, or is so bad for me. So you need to start paying the attention, and not in a way, not listen necessarily to the voice and doing what the voice is telling you to do, but just listening to that voice, how bad it is, how toxic, how nasty it is. Because again, that's the poison. When I was saying before, resentment is like taking poison and waiting the other person to die. That's exactly what the voices are doing to you. They're just creating more hate, anger, feeling that is not unfair to you. So it's just exactly like that, and it's building and building and building and creating the proper upset or anger and hate, and it's just growing and growing, and you feeding the resentment with your internal voices. So again, when something happens, you get triggered by the person says something, you get triggered, you get upset, you building it up, so you get angry, then you take some sort of action, or you react certain way because of the voices and your reactions and your triggers, and then it goes to do more resentment, and again more build up. And when you feel more resentful, you get triggered again, and you are a kind of like vicious circle, and you're going around and around and around, and you building more. It's like imagining a pyramid or wall, and you're just building really high wall with the resentment, because it's just building up all the time, and you don't know how to get out of the circle. So start paying attention to your internal voices, what they are telling you. Maybe write it down if that helps you, and just in the bullet points, and just like, what is telling me this voice, and just write it down. The third step I had to take and had to really think about was that I had to start being honest with myself and take responsibilities. Because we are all obviously responsible for our feelings and our actions. No one else is. Of course, people can upset us, but it's on us how we deal with it or how we feel about it. And I had to ask myself, if I will use the second wife issue again as an example, I had to get real and really honest with myself, because I was thinking, well, is there really a drama going on in our in this relationship or this issue, or am I creator of that? And obviously I was, because my husband's ex-wife, she never did anything to me. She was never, she hasn't never been nasty, or she never did anything bad to us. So why I felt so strongly about it, like how about her? So I had to be really honest and acknowledge that, like, yeah, I'm the pain in the ass. I'm the one who's responsible for my upset, my insecurities. I was responsible for, all the yelling and arguments we had with my partner, back then. I was responsible for yelling, my poor communication skills, and taking responsibility is not about making yourself wrong. It's really being honest with yourself and just saying, like, well, maybe I did tell him, I forgive him, but I really haven't forgiven him. So what do I need to do? Because, let's say that there was a cheating or something happened with your partner. You kind of gave him a second chance, everything forgotten, all good. And suddenly you still feel the anger and resentment towards him. But it's your responsibility, because if you communicate with him that it's all good, and you're fine, and you give him a second chance, it's your responsibility to come to him or her and just say, hey, listen, it's gonna take me a while. It's not just gonna be like this and I will be over it. So I will probably still get triggered, upset, and it's your responsibility to speak up about it, to find out what's really going on, what your triggers are, and talk to him about it. It could be, being responsible for never speaking up for yourself or for your, for the argument you had. Or if your partner, again, I will use this example, for not supporting you in the business or with your career or wherever it is. If you don't feel supported or acknowledged or appreciated, and you never said anything, it's your responsibility to speak up, because sometimes your partner can have a different communication skills, or he appreciates that, he supports you, but just not in a way you want. So it's your responsibility to speak up and say something. It could be towards his ex-wife, for example. Maybe you feel just really, really upset and you're creating the drama, but you don't see that she is on the other side fighting her battles as well. So she may be not like high conflicted birth mother, as a lot of people using these terms, but maybe she's just fighting her own battles as much as you fighting yours. So don't just expect that she's nasty, or she, don't feel angry at her all the time. Maybe she just, that's her best, and that's what she's doing. And you need to take responsibility for making her wrong, for being angry at the other woman who is just being mom and fighting her, rights. And so just have a look at what you can be responsible for. And this is something what, if it's in any self-development or growth, or if you're starting business, or, whatever you do, taking responsibilities is the biggest part of any self-growth or self-improvement, or whatever you do. Even in your life, is the biggest part of your life, taking responsibility. So if you haven't done it yet, start doing it, because it will completely shift your life or completely transform the way you see other people and yourself. So a fourth step which I took was that I actually share and acknowledge and apologize. So once I find out what are my triggers and what I can be responsible for, I share it. I share it with my husband. I share it with my friends. I share actually with his ex-wife as well. And someone was like, why would you talk to her about that? And I said, well, it actually helped her to understand me and help her to understand my reactions. And it was, for me, important part of kind of like self-development, or just recognizing who I am. And it was an easy conversation to have, but at least acknowledging it and talking to her about it, she could see that, like, yeah, I struggle too. And yeah, if I did something or react in the past certain way that she was like, what's going on with her? She could understand that this is what I was going through. So it's nothing wrong about acknowledging it and apologizing it. It's just you do some kind of damage control in a way you are responsible for. So again, it comes to the steps. If you never acknowledged your responsibility, if you always were just yelling and you had a poor communication skills, that's something you can bring into these steps that people will actually understand. And this is the place where you can get clear on that, like, what now, like how to deal with the resentment now into the relationships. That's when you acknowledge there is a problem, there's something missing in your life. It's not just about apologizing it, it's really about acknowledgement that there is something wrong, something doesn't work, and you need to do something about it. And then you obviously can talk to the person who is involved in this issue or this problem, and figure it out and sort it out. Not easy part, because that's the part when you start opening up and sharing the emotions you are holding inside of you for really, really long time. So it's not always easy. Maybe start with your friend or someone you can trust. And when you're sharing, again, be careful, because some people, when you start sharing about resentment towards your partner because he or she did XYZ or didn't do XYZ, your friends can come and jump and just actually said, yeah, but he is XYZ and she didn't do this, and they can drag you back to the internal voices which are nasty to you. So just be careful. What feedback are you getting? If you start sharing that you want to change it, you are not happy about what's going on and you are getting rid of the resentment, but the person you're sharing with it is actually giving you more validation and justification for feeling resentful, be careful about it and just listen to them really closely and see how they're affecting you and your progress or self-growth. So just be careful about that. And the fifth step for me was creating new plan. Because okay, now you figured out what are your triggers, you took responsibilities, you acknowledge everything, you said something, or at least you have to do XYZ. So what now? Because resentment is such a nasty thing to us, and it's hard to let it go because it's a poison, so it's so deep inside of us, and it's really hard and it's toxic, and it's always tricky to get rid of toxic things, toxic feelings, toxic people in our life, because we can get really easily addicted to it. So how are you gonna resist to going back to that way, going back to being angry? Because it's so much easier to be angry than being actually understanding or being, try to figure it out what's going on. It's much more easy to be, nasty. And so have a thing like, how can I resist it? Who I can talk to and how I can talk to the people. There's a lot. I did a podcast on how to get rid of the ex. How to get rid of the ex out of your head, and I did another YouTube videos as well. So have a look and check it out, because there are more steps on how to do it, how to resist to that feeling going back, and really just be careful about what are you sharing, with who are you sharing. Because that's when the triggers comes again, and it will be hard to resist to going back to the old you. Do you need a life coach or some sort of support that will help you with that? Because resentment can be so hard to get rid of, and we may need a help. So think about it. Do I need to hire someone? Would that be easier? Would that make a big difference? If yes, hire someone. Do I need to get rid of toxic people? Another thing that should be on your plan. No, not just like with who I want to talk, but do I need to get rid of some toxic people in my life because they are not helping me? You can get rid of them completely, or just mute the conversations with them for a little bit and not sharing everything with them. And also just think about it like, who is there to really support you and who is really there to support your resentment? So think about that. Distractions. It's really great to find distractions. So when you start feeling a little bit angry, what I can do? Will yoga help? Will meditation help? Will boxing help? Will writing a journal help to me? We are all different, and everyone has a different styles. For me, journaling, having a journal is something else than for someone else is journaling. Someone is writing down everything. When I am angry, I can't do it, because when I am really angry and I will start writing down, I actually get more angry. So that doesn't work for me. I need to do something else. I need to, I would go and just scream to a pillow, or I will use a 5-second rule, which is not my rule. Mel Robbins came up with it, and it's brilliant rule. You just go from 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and you take actions. You just need to distract your mind and brain and do something. So just have that plan. Like, what are you gonna do to resist or to deal, how to deal with the anger, how to deal with the triggers. Have that plan. So again, when you're dealing with the resentment, you do need to know your triggers and what is underneath your anger and upset, because again, anger and upset is secondary thing. And then is resentment. So you need to really figure out what's going on, why you're getting triggered. You need to stop your internal voices, especially if they are nasty ones. You need to understand what they are doing to you, how they are affecting you, how they are making you nasty or toxic to yourself. Another step is be honest with yourself and take responsibilities. I promise you, once you will start doing it, you will see things from completely different perspective, and it will help you. And another step is acknowledging, sharing, and apologizing, which is not the nicest or the easiest part of it, but I promise, like, you already know what triggers you, you already took responsibilities, you already know the voices, so just sharing it would be easier, I swear to you, when you really have the clarity about what is going on. And the last step of dealing with the resentment is have a plan, because we are finding difficult to resist to anger and upset and making people wrong and being angry at someone. So just have the plan so you effectively can deal with the resentment, with the anger, and be prepared for what is coming to you. Thank you very much for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe to my channel and check the other videos on my channel, because they always somehow link to each other, and you can find out more even about the resentment if you like it and you are dealing with the ex-wife. I did a video about I hate his ex, what to do now. So that's a good one. Thank you.